All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Jen Seeley, and I am the recruitment manager in the admissions office. And tonight you will all get an overview of FCC and the enrollment steps, and you'll learn about programs and support services available from FCC. You're also going to hear from Shelby Metzger, who will be talking all about financial aid. Feel free to use the chat throughout the presentation. We do have an admissions staff member who will be putting links and contact information in there for you and can answer questions as we go along. And then we will also open up the end of the presentation to Q&A, and we can answer and address any questions in the chat at that point. So let's go ahead and kick things off. First, here's a snapshot of our student profile. We serve about 7,600 credit students and about 5,000 continuing education students. 70% of our students are part-time, while 30% are full-time. And you'll find that small classes at FCC are small, with a 15:1 student to faculty ratio. Also, 31% of FCPS graduates attend FCC. So if you're at a local high school, you will have classes with familiar faces and see people around campus that you know. There's also something for everyone at FCC, whether you're seeking an associate degree or you're taking a class for personal enrichment. And depending on what your academic and career goals are, will depend what path is best for you. So at FCC, we offer short-term training or continuing education programs. And those usually you can complete within 6 months to a year, just depending if you can go full-time or part-time. We also offer credit certificates, which are 30 credits or 1 year as a full-time student, and associate degrees, which is 60 credits or 2 years as a full-time student. FCC allows students to be successful with their school life balance. We know a lot of our students have jobs or other obligations and responsibilities. So you can attend FCC, like I had mentioned earlier, as a full-time student or a part-time student. Classes are also offered in different formats, which I'll go over on the next slide, which that gives you some flexibility. And they're also offered in the morning, during the day, and in the evenings, and even some weekend classes. So here are the 4 different course formats of how you can actually take classes. We have in-person classes, which is what you're probably used to. You show up on campus in person, have an instructor and your fellow peers in your classroom setting. Online courses, the course is entirely online and does not meet at a scheduled time. Students just complete the work based on when it's due from the syllabus. Structured remote is a course entirely online with scheduled class times. So you will meet at a particular time virtually with your instructor and your other classmates. And then hybrid courses is a mixture of meeting in person and online. And those expectations will be set at the beginning of your class from your instructor of when you'd have to come to campus and when it's just online paced on your own time. We offer over 85 different academic programs. Some of our most popular programs include our health sciences like nursing, business degrees, STEM, cybersecurity, and general studies. General studies is a popular major for our students who aren't sure exactly what they want to major in, but want to earn college credits. So in this program, you'll complete your required general education courses, and you'll be able to select some elective classes to help you figure out what you're interested in. We also offer what we call umbrella degrees. So these are degrees that combine related degrees under a broad category. So the umbrella degrees that we offer are an AA in Arts and Humanities, an AA in Social Sciences, and an AS in STEM. So for example, say you're interested in computers, but you're not sure exactly if you want to do cybersecurity or information technology or game design. Instead of coming in and declaring one of those specific STEM-related programs, you can come in and declare STEM as your major and get an AS in STEM. That way you'll be taking your required gen ed classes and also classes in those different majors. So it'll let you explore STEM related majors that you could ultimately declare in the end. And in the chat, we'll make sure that we provide for you this link that's on this slide so you can access all of our different programs. You can actually click on all of the headings and then find the specific majors, and it will pull up for you a curriculum pathway for all of our credit programs. And this is a breakdown of each major basically. So it shows you and lists out all of the classes you would have to take in order to earn either a certificate or an associate's degree, whatever you're coming to study for. And it will show you course sequence, how many credits these classes are, number of credits, things like that. Then on the non-credit side, we have many CEWD or continuing education and workforce development short-term training programs. And these are offered at the Monroe Center. It's a separate facility by the Frederick Fairgrounds, but it is part of FCC. And some of those programs include healthcare careers like CNA, GNA, phlebotomy. They're all listed here on that screen. Our building trades, business programs, computers and technology. Our Hospitality, Culinary, and Tourism Institute is also located at the Monroe Center. So again, the difference between our credit programs and the non-credit. The non-credit means that you will not get an actual college transcript, and these credits will not transfer with you to a four-year school. So if your goal is to go on and get a bachelor's degree, you won't get any academic credits to transfer with you from these CE courses. Students who complete these CE programs are looking to enter their career field or industry right away, and they don't necessarily need a degree to do that. So again, a great selling point of these CE programs is they're quick, and you can usually complete them within 6 months to a year, just depending on the program. All right, I wanted to make sure I mentioned dual enrollment because I saw several students who had signed up for this are still in high school, sophomores, juniors, and even some seniors. So with dual enrollment, it allows you to earn your high school diploma and college credits at the same time at a discounted rate. So there is a tuition discount for DE students. You definitely want to work with your high school guidance counselor throughout this process. There are designated counselors who work with students through the DE process, and they know the different course offerings and can help you choose what courses to take. But in order for a student to enroll in DE courses, you have to be college level ready. And the different options of how you can take DE classes is high school based, is you will actually take FCC courses at your FCPS high school or at CTC. And those classes happen during a regular school day, and they're taught by FCPS teachers who are trained by FCC. Open campus is when you take FCC courses at FCC, so on our campus or online. And you would take these when they're normally offered just for our FCC students during the day, in the evening, depending on when you enroll. Career pathways refers to students exploring career options and earning industry certifications or credentials at FCC. So some examples of these are healthcare programs like CNA and GNA and dental assisting, or hospitality and culinary can fall under these career pathways. And then finally, our newest branch to dual enrollment is early college. That's when a student can earn an associate degree from FCC and their high school diploma at the same time. So a student would actually be a full-time student at FCC on our campus taking classes their junior and senior years of high school. This is a program that sophomores must apply for. It is competitive and there are limited spots. So you can always check out the DE website. I know that dual enrollment, they have a bunch of upcoming open houses, in-person and virtual events where you can get more specific information on all of these dual enrollment programs. So if you head to frederick.edu/DE, that will take you right to their website directly, and it will list out all of the different programs that they'll be offering that you can tune in to learn more information. All right, let's talk a little bit about cost. So a huge benefit of FCC is how affordable it is. I know that cost plays a big role for students when it comes to deciding what their plans are with higher education. So this chart here shows you the annual costs for a full-time in-county student taking 30 credits per year. So if you're coming for an associate degree as a full-time student, you'll most likely take 15 credits in the fall and 15 in the spring to give you 30 for the year, so you can graduate in 2 years. So you can see right now the cost to come to FCC for one full year is $4,717, compared to a 4-year public college in Maryland is over 10 grand. And in Orange, the 4-year private college in Maryland is close to 38 grand. And the orange and the blue do not include room and board either. So if you're going to live on campus at a 4-year, you'd be tacking on an extra 6 to 10 grand, depending on the school, to those numbers. So you can just see that our tuition fees are less than half of what they are at 4-year public colleges in Maryland. And it's definitely a smart investment to attend FCC because our students just graduate with little or no college debt while still getting a quality education. And there will be more on paying for college and financial aid and scholarships from Shelby later on in the presentation. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the academic support services that are offered through FCC. We have our Career and Academic Planning Services Office, or CAPS. Through CAPS, there are academic advisors. So all students are assigned an academic advisor based on their major. They will help students review the academic requirements for each major, degree plans, and actually pick out classes. So they'll make sure that you're on track within your major of your program, and also to graduate on time. Also within that, the advisors are trained on helping students transfer out of FCC. So they offer transfer services. We have a lot of different articulation agreements, which is just a fancy way of saying we can look up how FCC classes transfer to 4-year institutions, both in state and out of state. So you definitely just will want to work with your advisor of where your plans are, where you're planning on going after FCC, so they can advise you properly for your program at FCC, but then also if you're thinking of transferring to UMD after, for you to transfer out there as well, and you're not wasting your time and money. And then career services is also part of CAPS. Through career services, they help students who may not be sure what they want to study, kind of explore skills, majors, and careers based on their hobbies, talents, and interests. They also help students prepare for employment through different resume development, interview coaching, strategy workshops, things like that. They also have a lot of connections with local businesses and organizations and alumni, so they help students find jobs and internships. And they're always bringing employers to campus for you to network and talk with. In the Student Center daily, they'll do various career fairs on campus also for students to get networking that way. So it's a really great opportunity and a free resource for students to utilize. Also, speaking of the free resource, we have our Learning Commons, and through that we have a library, but within the library there is a free tutoring and writing center. So any help that you would need in a class, you can show up there. It's drop-in tutoring. There are professional tutors who can help you with your courses. In the writing center, you can submit a paper for a class and within 48 hours get feedback on that paper. Aside from that, we have a separate STEM Learning Center, which is free tutoring for all STEM related classes. So if you need help in a math or science class, you would go right to the STEM Learning Center. Finally, on this slide, I want to mention about our Honors College. If that is something that interests you, students who participate in honors will have a competitive advantage when transferring to a 4-year school. And also there are a lot of scholarship opportunities through being in honors when you're transferring. But in order to graduate with honors, you need to complete at least 12 honors credits or 4 classes and have a 3.25 GPA from FCC. In the honors program, you'll complete an independent student project, kind of think of it as an internship or practicum. You'll present at a conference or earn service or leadership certificates. So a lot of great resume building qualities from being in honors. Then shifting gears to our student support and services side of the house, I just briefly want to mention all of these. We have a counseling and wellness services on campus. So they assist students in managing personal problems, which may impact their ability to meet their academic and career goals. So we have 2 licensed counselors on campus that can provide short-term solution-focused counseling and crisis intervention. And they also have a lot of contacts and resources in the community for students as well. We have a disability access services office, and they support students and assist them who have a documented disability. So they will come up with an accommodation plan that can include services in the classroom, like a note taker or use of a tape recorder or testing accommodations. And there's also sign language interpreting that is offered through the DAS office. English as a second language is available for students through basic, targeted, and academic ESL, and it will help students improve their English language skills. And finally, on this slide, we have our Veteran and Military Services Office. They provide support for veterans, active duty personnel, National Guard and Reserve personnel, and their families. So FCC participates in a variety of GI Bill and military tuition payment options. All right, then lastly, the last student support area that I'd like to mention is our student success programs. And on the slide here, I list out essentially 4 different programs that are offered through their office. So the first one is our PASS program, the Partnership for Achieving Student Success. This is for new to college students. Think of it kind of as a transition program, new to college. So it's a cohort-based program designed to enhance the college experience for new students with year-round success coaching and personal enrichment and academic opportunities. So they will offer a summer and winter bridge academy for all past students who participate in this. There is an application for you to fill out to be in the PASS program, and there's also a scholarship tied to this program. Parents Lead, Project Forward, and the Allied Health Academy are support programs for adult students aged 24 and over. So they're all a little bit different in their own way. Parents Lead helps with childcare and other expenses. And so it's a student-focused program designed to help financially with parents pursue their educational goals. And there's a cohort of students that go through Parents Lead classes to complete their degree. Project Forward is a counseling, information, and referral program designed to meet the needs of returning adult students. And the Allied Health Academy provides training, educational support, and financial assistance to students who want to prepare for employment in an allied health career field, excuse me. All right, moving on to college life at FCC. It's very easy to get involved. Students can join one of our 40 clubs and organizations, and those range from the gaming club to biology club to ceramics club to the Spanish club. You can even become part of the student programming that happens on campus by joining the student program board, or you can take on a leadership role as a member of the Student Government Association. Our athletic teams are part of the National Junior College Athletic Association. You could attend a cultural event in the Mosaic Center, which stands for Making Our Space an Inclusive Community, and this celebrates diversity and inclusion. Or you could participate in leadership conferences and service projects, while also attending social events on campus like welcome back celebration, spring fling picnics. They'll have tie-dyeing in the quad, a lot of different ways to get involved and meet people and hang out with your friends outside of the classroom. Okay, last up for my portion of the presentation is going over the enrollment steps. So we're on the same page of where to start and how to enroll in classes at FCC. So we are an open admissions school, so all students are accepted. It's a guaranteed acceptance. We do not have a deadline of when you need to apply by, but we definitely encourage you to do it earlier rather than later, just so you're not waiting to the last minute and classes are already filled and sections are already closed and things like that. So currently the application for our current semester in fall 2022, we do have some late start sessions still available that you can take classes in towards the end of this month and even October and November. The courses are just condensed, so it's a lot more material in less time instead of being spread out through the semester, but you are still able to apply for this fall semester. Then our spring 2023 will open, registration for that will open in early November. And you can apply for that semester right now for spring. And then for students who will be applying to attend fall 2023, so for all high school seniors that we have on the virtual session, you'll be applying for fall 2023. That application will open tomorrow on September 15th is when you can start applying for the fall semester. So what you'll do is you'll go to frederick.edu/apply, fill out the application. It is free. There are no essays required, no recommendation letters. It will take you about 10 to 15 minutes to fill out the application. We do not use the Common App, so you'll have to do it through frederick.edu. And please note, if you are a dual enrollment student or will be this semester or next semester, you must reapply for fall 2023 for 2 reasons: in order to select a major and also to be eligible for financial aid. You do not have either of those tagged to your account as a dual enrollment student. So your FCC ID number and email will stay the same, but you just need to reapply and fill out a new application for fall 2023. Also mentioned on here, you definitely want to apply for financial aid, and I will not get into that because Shelby will cover that, but seniors, the FAFSA will become available October 1st, and the priority deadline is March 1st. So after you apply, the admissions office will process it, and you'll eventually get a welcome letter that has your student ID number and your email address. Once you have that, you're able to reset your password and log into your FCC student accounts, and we will send you instructions on how to do that, but that allows you to get into your FCC email. PeopleSoft is where you add and drop classes, so you'll work with your advisors about getting into classes. And Blackboard is a platform that you'll use in your actual classes that your instructors and the faculty members use for assignments in their classes. You'll eventually take the virtual new student orientation. It's an online orientation. It's made up of different modules. You can start it, come back to it, take some breaks. It won't take you that long to get through, maybe an hour total. But it tells you everything and teaches you everything you need to know to be a student at FCC. So it's really important to have that done before you eventually meet with your advisor. All students who are taking credit classes at FCC have to take placement testing in reading, writing, and math. It just determines what level of English and math for you to start in. Because we don't require standardized tests like the ACT or the SAT, we go off the placement test or the AccuPlacer test to see what level you'll start in. If you need to take placement testing, they are also free. It's untimed. Again, it's not part of you don't get a grade. It's not part of your GPA in college or anything like that. Now, there are ways that you don't have to take the placement testing if you do have some exemptions. So I'm going to go ahead here to this next slide. Here is a screen grab of some of the placement testing exemptions, and there are some more on our website. We'll make sure we link those in the chat for you, that website. But if you have taken the SAT or the ACT, these are the certain scores that you need. And if you have taken the SAT, for example, say you've met the reading and writing, you've got a 480 or higher, but your math is a 500, you didn't meet the math. It's not all or nothing. You can get credit for the reading and writing. You would just have to do the math placement. So you'd still want to send us those scores. Another most popular one that we have is if your overall cumulative unweighted GPA is a 3.0 or higher from any Maryland public high school within the last 5 years that you've graduated, 3.0 or higher, you're exempt from all placement testing. So you do not need to take the reading, the writing, or the math. So as you can see, it's just really important when you're applying to FCC to make sure that you send us your high school transcript, send us your test scores from College Board, your AP scores, all of those things. So we just know that you either have to take placement testing or not take placement testing. All right, so going back to our steps, under the placement testing or send exemptions, if you have any of those, you can send those to transferevaluation@frederick.edu. That goes right to our registration office, and then our transcript evaluators will look at your transcript and put the exemptions in our system for you. So then the last thing you're going to do after you complete placement testing or send exemptions and you've done your virtual orientation is you will eventually meet with an academic advisor. So remember, all students are assigned an advisor based on your major. You will sit down with them. They'll kind of ask you what your goals are, where you're thinking of transferring, all of that. And then they'll help you pick out classes for each semester based on what your needs are. They'll also show you how to register for classes. And after your advising appointment, you'd be able to register for all of your classes then in our PeopleSoft system. Once you're registered for classes, you can actually look up your bill. Then you can look into and confirm your scholarships, sign up for a payment plan if that's how you'd like to pay for your tuition as well, and you'd be set to go. Keep in mind, if you're going to be applying and enrolling for classes again this fall, go ahead and do things now. You can get in late start sessions. If you're thinking of enrolling spring 2023, which would start towards the end of January, you can apply now. That application is open. Registration for spring will open in early November. So that's when you're going to want to start meeting with an advisor and getting in classes. And then for students enrolling next fall 2023, the application for that opens tomorrow, September 15th. And then registration for that period won't open until usually early April. So then that's when you're going to be able to meet with an advisor and pick out classes, and the class schedule will be live for you to be able to enroll in classes. All right, and then finally, here is our contact information for the admissions office. You can always call us or email us. Frederick.edu/admissions is our main webpage. And over on the right, I have listed all of our upcoming events for the fall semester. If you're interested in attending any of these, you can go to our admissions website to register for those. The only one you wouldn't have to register for is we're having the Frederick County College Night. The big countywide college fair will be on October 5th in the gym at 6:30 to 8. Right now, we have close to 100 different colleges and universities signed up to come that you're able to walk around and talk with those admissions reps. You do not need to sign up for that event. You can just show up the night up for that. Everything else, the open house, our adult recruitment event that's geared towards students aged 24 and over, FCC night for high school seniors, that's specifically for high school seniors. And then we're having a bridge to FCC, which is going to be for our high school senior dual enrolled students for that event. And then you can always sign up to come do a campus tour throughout the fall as well. We have various times there. So whenever you want to come to campus, get some more information. These events are great because we usually have faculty and staff on hand that you can ask specific questions about programs, different supports we offer. Admissions will always be there, and financial aid is always there as well to answer any questions and dive deeper into subjects for you. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And now I'm going to turn things over to Shelby Metzger, Assistant Director of Financial Aid, and she is going to talk all things of financial aid for you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for the introduction, Jen. Like she said, my name is Shelby Metzger. I go by the she series pronouns, and I am a first-generation college student. So what that means is that my parents did not go to college. So figuring out the financial aid process is something that I can totally relate to. It can be very complicated, but I assure you that the financial aid staff here at FCC are here to help. We love helping all students, but especially our first-generation college students navigate the complicated process that sometimes can be financial aid. First, I'd like to start off by covering different sources of financial aid. So these are places where students get aid from. We have the federal government and we have the state government. So to get those or most types of those aid, you would fill out the FAFSA or the Maryland State Financial Aid Application, the MISFA, and we'll go into those more in depth. Then we have institutional financial aid. So at FCC, that would come from our FCC Foundation. There are private sources, and I'll cover one big example or opportunity that we have for Frederick County residents later in the presentation. And then one smaller or lesser known source of financial aid are employers. So oftentimes I see scholarship checks coming from different fast food restaurants that students work at, or if your parents have an employer, they may offer tuition reimbursement for dependents. So that's definitely something that your parents should take a look at if they think, they may have something like that. Our student finance office would work with them to get that applied to your account. So the free application for federal student aid, or FAFSA for short, is oftentimes something that scares the general public. Sometimes there's a lot of stuff in the media that makes it seem like it's really scary, but I'm here to assure you that it is very simple application to complete. Since I was a college student throughout my career in financial aid, and then even very recently, I've seen a lot of good improvements made by the federal government to the FAFSA application. It is simply an application that's collecting basic demographic and financial information. That information is then used to calculate a student's expected family contribution, or EFC. The EFC is then what our office uses to determine a student's eligibility for aid, basically how much aid and the types of aid that you can receive. It's currently available in both English and Spanish. And one tricky thing about the FAFSA is that you're always going to be using prior year taxes to complete the FAFSA. So for our high school seniors that are present tonight, you will do the 23-24 FAFSA using 2021 tax data. Now, you might say, well, in 2021, my family's financial situation was much different than it is now. Maybe you had a parent retire, or a parent lost their job, or an illness caused somebody to stop working. All of those are examples of special circumstances. So essentially, if you or your parents experienced something that was involuntary, please come touch base with our office after you submit your FAFSA. You may be entitled to additional funding through a special circumstance process. So very important for you to come share those details with our office. And finally, on the list I have listed on here, and Jane's going to be putting these links in the chat as well. But students and parents of dependent students do need to create a username and password for the FAFSA. It's called the FSA username and password, and it's just as simple as signing up for an Instagram account. So I know that you guys are very capable of handling that. You do want to save these usernames because they are tied to your social security number. So you will only ever create one of them, and then each year that you do the FAFSA, you're going to use the same usernames and passwords. Now, if your parent has already done a FAFSA in the past, maybe for an older sibling, they're not going to need to create another username or password. They're going to use the same one for both you and your siblings. The Maryland State Financial Aid Application, or MSFA for short, is available for students who are ineligible to receive federal aid using the FAFSA. This is usually due to citizenship status. So most students are eligible to do the FAFSA. If a student is undocumented, they can do the MSFA. Students should not do both of these applications. It's one or the other. And if you're not sure which one to do, please come touch base with our office. That way we can save you the headache of accidentally doing two applications. And it will help ensure that you're getting the aid that you're entitled to receive. The priority deadline for Maryland State Financial Aid is March 1st, and that's for the FAFSA and the MSFA. So every single year, both applications open up in October. I do recommend submitting them as early as possible, especially since you've probably already filed those 21 taxes. And then you definitely want to make sure the FAFSA gets submitted by March 1st. So even for those of you who are on the fence, or maybe you have friends who are on the fence about going to college, please encourage them to do their FAFSA anyway. It doesn't hurt to do it and then not attend, but you do miss out on funding if you don't do it by the March 1st deadline. So very, very important for everyone who's even thinking about college, regardless of if it's a non-credit or credit program, that you make sure you do your financial aid application. There is also an account that students will create to do the MSFA. It's called MDCAPS, and that's where students can log in to do the MSFA account. Some students who are undocumented may not have a social security number, and that's okay. Please don't let that prevent you from doing the MSFA application for state aid. This is the login screen for the Maryland Higher Education website. All students do need to create an MDCAPS account, but not all students will do the MSFA. So all students create the MDCAPS account to log in and accept aid that gets offered to you by the state of Maryland. Now, oftentimes the state will start offering state financial aid in April or May. And a lot of students are getting excited. They only have a few days left of their senior year, and they're totally ignoring emails. So please, if I can give you any advice now to get you prepared for college, it's to make sure that you are clearing out your inbox every day, removing the stuff that you don't need, and also checking your junk inbox, because you might be missing out on important updates from the state or FAFSA. When the state offers a student state financial aid, they only have 6 weeks to log into this portal to accept it. If you don't accept it within the 6-week time frame, then MHEC will cancel the award and they'll start awarding students off the wait list. So very, very important. We do get a lot of calls in our office asking if MHEC, the Maryland Higher Education Commission, is legit. I promise you they are, and I encourage you to follow the instructions in the emails they're sending you because they're trying to give you money for school. If you're ever in doubt about financial aid opportunities and maybe emails that you're receiving about it, please touch base with us. Even if you're not a current FCC student, or maybe if you're pursuing another school, we can definitely make sure that what you're putting your personal information on is legit, is something that you should be doing. And then finally, I mentioned this a little bit, that it's typically offered in April of your senior year. So I know you're kind of wrapping up your high school year, saying goodbye, preparing for maybe senior week or something like that, but very important to make sure that you are checking your emails and accepting your state aid or submitting documents that the state is requesting from you. The Maryland Community College Promise Scholarship is an opportunity that opened up a couple of years ago that not a lot of people are aware of. So hopefully I can give you some exciting news about it. You can receive up to $5,000 per academic year for households earning between $100,000 to $150,000 during the 2021 tax year. So Jen showed you the infographics that shows you how affordable FCC is. I'm doing the math for you. You can pay for your full tuition and fees using the Maryland Promise Scholarship as a full-time student here. So a great opportunity, especially for our middle income students. If you are living in a single parent household, the adjusted gross income for that parent is $100,000 or less. If it's a two-parent household, that's when we bump up to $150,000 or less. Students do need to complete high school or earn their GED in the state of Maryland to qualify. You need to have at least a 2.3 cumulative unweighted high school GPA. And this is either at the end of your first semester of your senior year or at the very end of your senior year. This opportunity is available for credit and non-credit programs. Students pursuing a non-credit program do have an extra step they have to complete, but we can definitely go over that. It's a really simple form that you fill out within the state portal. You do have to submit your FAFSA or your MISFA by March 1st to qualify. So another example of why it's really important to make sure you're doing your financial aid application on time. Students do have to be eligible for the in-state tuition and fee rate. And if you are pursuing a credit program, such as a credit certificate or an associate's degree, you have to be a full-time student, which is 12 or more credit hours per semester. I touched base earlier about institutional financial aid. So here at FCC, that comes from the FCC Foundation. If you're considering other schools, maybe four-year schools, I strongly encourage you to reach out to their financial aid office and ask if they have any institutional opportunities available. The FCC Foundation does open up scholarships usually 3 times per year, but definitely twice per year. Once for the fall, once for the spring, and then if funds are remaining, they do open up a summer application as well. Students should log in February 1st. So if you're a senior in high school, February 1st, you can log in and apply for FCC Foundation scholarships, and the deadline is June 15th. So this is where I like to pause and talk about the FAFSA a little bit more, because sometimes I'll do presentations and students will say to me, Shelby, I don't do a FAFSA because I know my parents make too much money. And that is a financial aid myth that I want to squash right now. Regardless of how much money your parents make, you should still complete the FAFSA application. A lot of scholarship organizations want to see FAFSA data on file, and they may define your financial need or your eligibility for financial aid much differently than our federal government does. So regardless of how much money your parents earn, please don't let that prevent you from doing your FAFSA or your MISFA application. The spring deadline for the FCC Foundation scholarships is October 1st through December 31st. This Community Foundation of Frederick County is the external scholarship opportunity that I mentioned earlier. They award over $1 million per year to Frederick County residents. I see a lot of really big, really great scholarships come to FCC students. Their application is available during the month of March every single year. And this is something that if you get a scholarship from them, you need to keep applying every year. Even for students that want to go work on a graduate degree or maybe a PhD or something like that, there are opportunities available. So please make sure that this is something on your radar. Website is pretty simple to remember, frederickcountygives.org. The application is a little lengthy, so you want to start it on March 1st, but it does allow you to save and return to it. Again, another really important reason to do the FAFSA is that the Community Foundation does like to see FAFSA data on file. So very important to make sure that in October, you get your FAFSA submitted so you have it ready for you when you're working on your scholarship application. We have some financial aid information sessions, and if you're nervous about the FAFSA application, we have some workshops coming up too. It says FAFSA Finish workshop, but we can also help with MISFAs. So I've listed the dates here. You don't have to be a high school student at any of these particular schools to attend. So for example, if you're a Brunswick High School student, but you can only make it to the Walkersville event, that's completely okay. Please come see us. Or maybe it's easier for your parent to get there because they work in Frederick. It doesn't matter where you go to high school, you can join us regardless. If you scan this QR code, and I believe Jean's going to put the link to register for the workshops in the chat, we do ask that you register for the workshops because space is limited. And I use those registrations to determine how many financial aid staff members I send out to help you guys with these. Very important to pay attention when you're registering for your FAFSA workshops. There is going to be a list of items that's needed. Make sure you bring all of those with you and that you create your username and password ahead of time. Here is the contact information for the financial aid office. We are located on the first floor of Jefferson Hall. Please sign in and then you'll see our front staff members. You don't have to see me. I know often I do these presentations and students are like, I need to talk to Shelby about this. If it's something that needs my attention, they will get in contact with me. So please just make sure you sign in and they will be able to help you out with the questions that you have. Monday, 8:30 to 6 p.m. and then Tuesday through Friday, 8:30 to 4:30 p.m. And I think we're ready to turn it over for questions, Jen.
Thanks, Shelby. So as Shelby said, if anyone has any questions, you can feel free to put them in the chat now. You have both Shelby and I here to answer any of those questions that you do have. So feel free to put those in. Just so you're all aware, tomorrow I will be sending out a follow-up email to all of you who registered for this event that will include links and contact information about all of the different areas that we talked about. And I'll make sure that all of Shelby's different links are in there as well for financial aid specific things. So just keep an eye out tomorrow for an email coming from the admissions email address that has a follow-up to all of this contact information and links for you. So you don't have to scribble everything down and open all those tabs on your computer. We'll make sure we get that sent out to you tomorrow. So does anybody have any questions? Jane has been doing a fabulous job inserting stuff in the chat for all of you. And I see that she put financial aid contact information in there, and also the admissions contact information is about halfway down in there as well if you need to contact us with anything. Like Shelby said, we're always open for questions. You can come in person, you can call us, you can email us. We will get back to you shortly and are happy to help you through any processes you have questions on.
Quiet group.
Yeah. So I see people are using the Q&A.
Oh, okay, awesome.
Someone asked, when is the next meeting for the early college? Let me look that up online, Shelby. There's financial aid questions coming in the Q&A. Do you have access to that?
I do, yeah.
Okay. You look at that. I'll look up the meeting for early college off the website quick.
Perfect. So we have an attendee asking, if you just live with your mom, does she make an account and not your dad, no longer his dependent, but was in 2021? And that is a great question. So if you are a student that has divorced parents and you spend most of your time with mom, then it would be mom's information that goes on the FAFSA. Now, if mom is remarried and you have a step parent, then it's mom and step parent data that goes on your FAFSA. If you ever have questions about who is the parent on the FAFSA, there's some really helpful tips on the studentaid.gov. So if you even just Google that, who's my parent for FAFSA, and look for the link that says studentaid.gov, and that will help you narrow it down. Let me know if that's not clear. You can add another question and we can follow up with you. And then James asked, you had mentioned Maryland financial aid and everyone needed to create an account. Do you apply for that aid? Another great question. So if you are a student that's eligible to do the FAFSA, you're automatically applying for Maryland state aid by submitting your FAFSA by the March 1st deadline and putting Maryland schools on the FAFSA. So you're allowed to put up to 10 schools the first time you submit the FAFSA. As long as any one of those is a Maryland school and you submit your FAFSA by March 1st, you're considered for state financial aid from the Maryland Higher Education Commission at the same time that you're also being considered for federal aid. Lynn asked, the FCC Foundation, can 2023 graduates apply? Lynn, yes. So if a student is graduating in 2023, they would be able to start applying for the FCC Foundation scholarships beginning in February. So they would want to go ahead. I believe I remember Jen mentioning that the application for fall opens up September 15th.
Yep, tomorrow.
Right? So tomorrow. So your student can go ahead and apply for admissions to FCC tomorrow as a fall student. And then in February, they're going to use the same credentials, so the same username and password to log into the FCC Foundation application to apply for those scholarships. Great question. Then we have Lynn asked, how do we meet with someone before we apply to talk about what classes are required due to already having dual enrollment classes? Do you want to take that one, Jen?
Yep. So dual enrollment students are able to meet with our advisors if they'd like. There is a specific advisor, Enchantment Allen, who meets with dual enrollment students, typically open campus dual enrollment students. But she would be able to answer questions that you have about classes you need to take or not. And so if you're going to be enrolling in classes in fall 2023, you can still go ahead and apply. It is a non-binding thing. So if you apply and you decide to go elsewhere, it's okay. It's free to apply to FCC. So you can go ahead and get the application in now. You could talk with an advisor. It just, when it comes to advising, since class schedules aren't available until April, they won't know specifics of what classes are being offered in the fall when you take classes, but they could talk to you generally about what classes you would take based on kind of your major and what the curriculum pathway looks like. So yeah, you have that option to talk with an advisor whenever you'd like.
Then do you want to read them?
Yep. So Ethan asked if there's a political science program at FCC. We do not have political science as a specific program. We have a history degree and criminal justice. I'm trying to think of areas kind of around political science. Those are probably the two closest. So if political science is something that you'd want to do, you'd also have the option that you could start at FCC even for a year and take your gen ed classes and some lower level classes and then transfer on to an institution and declare political science as your degree. We just don't offer that specific program, but you can come to FCTCC to save some money and kind of get some classes done and then transfer on after. Someone asked, you need to complete 12 honors credits for honors college, correct? And if so, what counts as an honors credit class? Yes, you need to have 12 credits of honors classes. So 12 honors credits, so 4 classes. When you're signing up for classes, they'll be marked if it's an honors class or not. Usually the curriculum is a little bit more rigorous, and that's why it's marked an honors class. But Dr. Bruce Thompson, he's the coordinator of honors. He will also work with students and help sometimes like create classes to be honors classes to fit what your major needs are. So there's a lot of ways around that, even if not a lot of honors classes are listed out, because it could be an honors history class, it could be an honors psychology class. He kind of works with you to make sure and build that curriculum in the honors realm for you to your major. So it's not that there's only just honors classes in English or math or something. It could be across the board, and he'll work with you on doing that. All right. Can early college students apply for honors classes? That's a good question. I'm not too sure. I'd have to defer that to our DE folks to answer that, just because early college is a new program and we just had our first cohort graduate this year. So if you want to, you can always reach out to dual enrollment. Let me look up their email real quick and I'll put it in the chat for you, but just shoot them that email, that question in the email, because I'm honestly not sure of the answer and I don't want to tell you the wrong thing. If you can take an honors class as an early college student.
Jen, while you're looking that up, I want to talk about early college, dual enrollment, and how that works with financial aid. So students that are participating in either of those programs as high school students taking classes, regardless of if it's early college or dual enrollment, you are not eligible to do the FAFSA or the MISFA until you have completed high school, whether that's by earning your high school diploma or your GED. The early college students, there's like a $300 scholarship per semester that's available for students to help them out with books. And then sometimes we have other funding available for students. Like I've seen students bring in external scholarships, and I know there's also discounted tuition and fee rates for them, but please know that you're not eligible for federal or state financial aid until you have completed high school. These are all great questions. Thank you guys for asking them.
Right, I think, let me make sure there wasn't any more in the chat that we missed over there. Okay, I see none in the chat, and I think that was it for the Q&A. All right, so again, if anyone has a question or thinks of something that they want to ask after we kind of conclude this, feel free to reach out to the admissions office or the financial aid office and we will get your question answered. And again, tomorrow I will be sending out an email to all of you that has these links and contact information in all the various departments, so you have those handy. But thank you so much for joining us tonight. I hope that the information we presented was helpful. And remember, we are always here to help you no matter where you are in the process. Just please reach out. We all have an open door policy, and best of luck with everything. And hopefully we'll see you on campus this fall at one of our events. So thank you. Have a great evening.